This call is now being recorded.
Okay, so this is the good evening related to the as per the time. Okay, so I will start with my introduction once again, as we have to follow. That is myself, Avinash Parke, working as a assistant professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. And now for this semester 2, I am dealing with this particular subject for your class, that is industrial engineering. Okay, so in this particular subject, total we are having the 6 chapters. So in that, in the section number 1, the 3 chapters are there, and in the section number 2, the 3 chapters are there. That like that, we are going to study the total 6 chapters in case of a industrial engineering. Okay, so why this particular subject? It's introduced in your syllabus. So before starting the chapter number 1, just we are having some introduction related to the industrial engineering. What is the basic content? Whatever the syllabus is there for this particular subject, we are going to discuss about the syllabus, which chapters we are going to study, and what is the use of each and every chapter, and why we have to study this particular subject as per as industry point of view. Okay, so industrial engineering. If you go through this particular subject, that is, or if you go through the title of the subject, industrial engineering, the industrial means it is correlated with the industries. That industry may be any manufacturing industry, any production industry, or any working line, or any software industry. Okay, and engineering means we have to apply the basic science, we have to apply the basic knowledge, or we have to apply the basic mathematical techniques in industry in order to achieve the maximum output in minimum cost. As we know that in industry, there are so many components are there are so many products are there that industry is manufacturing. Some of the component, some of the industries, it is manufacturing some small scale product, or we can say that some of the industries are related to the small scale industries. Some industries are related to the big scale industry. That means they are manufacturing only heavy components. For example, if you take the example of Bharat Forge, that component, that industry is manufacturing some heavy components which are mostly used in the in case of aerospace industries, or in case of air forces. And some of the basic or small scale industries are there which are manufacturing some of the simple components like nuts, bolts, washers, screws. Like that, small scale industries are also there. But the industry may be the big scale, or the industry may be small scale industries. We have to apply this particular industrial engineering concept in that particular industry. So without applying this particular concept of the industrial engineering, it is not possible to achieve the maximum productivity, or it is not possible to achieve the maximum profit in case of a less sources. Because if we have to manufacture the component, there are so many resources are there. Out of that so many resources, the 3 basic resources are there. One is the man. Man means we can consider it as a worker. Nowadays the automation is coming, but now just forget about the automation. But the man is very important, as it plays a very important role as a resource in case of a industry. Then material. So whatever the raw material we are using in order to convert that raw material into the finished products, that raw material is also plays important role as an important source in the industries. And third one is related to the machine or machinery. So in order to convert that particular raw material into the finished goods, we have to use some standard machineries. That machineries may be operated by the workers, or sometimes it is automatically operated. So that machineries are also important in order to convert the raw material into the finished goods. And whatever these 3 important resources are there, that is man, material, and machine, these 3 resources are comes together, and if they are works properly, then and then there may be possibility to increase the productivity, or there may be possibility to increase the profit of that particular organization or the industry in the less resources. For example, if we are not using the skilled operator, or if we are not using the skilled workers while working on that particular line, or while working in case of a industry, at that time it will be affects on the overall performance of the organization. If the skilled operators are not operating the machines, automatically it affects on that particular production line. If the operator is not skilled, many times it will create the problem on the production line. If the production line it will get stopped, automatically it affects on the overall performance. So the skilled operator is one of the important resource, and related to the workers, which types of the facility we have to provide, how the worker should be there, how the training will be given to that particular worker, all the related study we are going to study in this particular industrial engineering. Then second is a material. So whatever the raw material is there, how that particular raw material, or by using the less resources of the raw material, how it will be converted into the maximum profit. That related concept, that related techniques are also there, which we are going to study in this particular industrial engineering. And important thing is that machinery, as we have to operate some heavy duty machineries or some skilled operator machineries are there. In order to operate such types of the machineries, we require to hire the skilled operator. So if the skilled operators are not there, then automatically, just now I have told, it affects on the overall performance of that particular industry. Therefore, in case of a industrial engineering, it is mostly correlated with the, or it is concerned with designing the effective system. Designing effective system means, for example, if I will give the example of the two subjects, for example, manufacturing processes. In the second year, you have studied this particular manufacturing process. That means different types of patterns are there. That maybe casting procedure is there. Like that, we have studied in the manufacturing processes. Then in the second year, you have studied the MTP, that is machine tool processes. So in case of that machine tool processes, we are studying, or we have studied the number of operations. So there are near about 8 chapters are there. All the 8 chapters are related to the various operations which are performed on that particular component. If you take the example of lathe, on that particular lathe, we are performing the number of operations. For example, turning is there, then facing is there, then boring is there, then we are making the grooves are there, then champering is there. Like that, so many operations we are going to perform on that particular component. Similar to like lathe machines, drilling machine is there, shaper machine is there, milling machine is there. So each and every machine is having their own function, and that machine is performing their operation in case of a converting the raw material into the finished goods. But while performing the operations, it is necessary to focus on their performing time and the procedure whatever we are using to manufacture the product. For example, if we have to manufacture the final product, initially we have to take the raw material. On that particular raw material, as per the requirement, we have to decide its path. For example, initially which type of operations we have to perform. Once the operation number 1 is finished, then what will be the second operation, then what will be the third operation, what will be the fourth operation. That sequence we have to set, and such types of the final effective system will be developed by using this particular industrial engineering. Therefore, it is mostly concerned with the designing the effective system and developing the best process with the purpose of integrating the people, then machine and the material. So as I have told, it is concerned with the designing the effective system. Effective system means whatever the procedure we are using to convert the raw material into the finished goods. So there is a standard system. It is not possible to take the raw material and by performing the any type of operation at any time. It is not possible to perform the operations at any time and we'll get the final product. So we have to focus on their proper sequence of operations. Also, we have to focus on the standard time required to perform the each operation. For example, initially, if we are performing the drilling, then how much amount of time is required? Once the drilling operation is over, then we have to go for the boring. Then how much amount of time is required? Then after that, I have to go for the turning. Then how much amount of time is required? So like that, we have to set the sequence of operation, and in addition to that, we have to calculate the total standard time to perform that particular operation. So to set the sequence of operation and to calculate the standard time for the each and every operations, that related concept we are going to study in this particular industrial engineering. Therefore, just now I have told, it is that industrial engineering is concerned with designing the effective system. And when this particular designing of the effective system is possible, if there is an integration of, or if there is a collaboration of man, machine and the material. So out of this particular 3 resources, if any one resource is missing, automatically it will be affects on the productivity of that particular industry, or finally it affects on their production cost and their profit. So in order to proper collaboration of man, machine, material, we have to study this particular subject, or it is added in your syllabus. Then sometimes in case of industrial engineering, the industrial engineers are there, so it is not possible to perform such types of the operations by any engineer. For example, design engineering is there, he is performing their design related concept. Then production engineer is there, he is performing their production related concept. Then some quality engineers are there, then research and development engineers are there. Each and every engineer is having their own task, so all are performing their own task while working in the industry. Similarly, in case of a industrial engineering, the industrial engineer, it also plays very important role. So that industrial engineer, it carries some of the analysis, and due to the analysis which are carried by that particular industrial engineer, automatically it affects on the performance, or it will be affects on the productivity. If the R&D or the quality engineer, if he is focusing related to the concept of the industrial engineering, that much output it will not be obtained. Therefore, whatever the industrial engineers are there, to that industrial engineers, the special trainings are given to them. Whatever the standard industrial engineering techniques are there, all the techniques we have to taught to that particular industrial engineer, and that industrial engineer is going to apply that techniques in the production line or in the industry, due to which automatically there is a increase in productivity and the profit. So in all respect, whatever industries are working, or whatever it is converted into the finished goods, so while converting that particular raw material into the finished goods, this particular subject plays very important role. If I will start with this particular, maybe this is the basic teaching scheme. So as per the university timetable, so we are having a total 3 hours lectures, then practicals, then 70 marks your end semester examination is there, 30 marks for your internal semester examination, and ICA, it is related to your term work. So now in this particular COVID situation, maybe exam will be conducted online, we don't have, but just I am explaining the basic university teaching and the examination scheme. If there will be the written examination, as we know that the 70 mark question paper will be there, which includes some theoretical questions as well as MCQ questions are there. Then related to the ISC, we are having the 3 tests, or we are having the 2 tests of the 30 marks, and after that we are making the average of both and we are sending it to the university. And this ICA, it is related to your term work. So whatever your internal submission is there, maybe assignments are there, maybe practical is there, triple P, then whatever the unit tests are there, based on this particular internal parameters. And important thing is that your attendance. So based on this particular all the internal parameters, I am giving the internal marks as a ICA, that is internal continuous assessment, or we can say it as a term work. Okay, this is the basic teaching and the examination scheme. Now through this particular syllabus, you can easily understood that which types of the chapters we are going to study, and how this particular chapter plays very important role in the concept of industrial engineering or in the concept of industry. So if you go through the first chapter, chapter number 1, it is very basic, that is introduction to the industrial engineering. So in this particular chapter, we are going to discuss what is the basic definition of the industrial engineering, what is the function of it, and what are the objectives. If this industrial engineering concept is not implemented in the industry, then how it affects on their productivity, how it affects on their profit, that we are going to discuss in the chapter number 1. And in addition to that, due to the implementation of industrial engineering techniques in the industry, how the productivity goes on increasing and how there is a profit with less production cost. So related techniques we are going to discuss in this particular first chapter. Then contribution of F.W. Taylor and Gilbert. So these are the 2 scientists who has developed this particular industrial engineering concept. So this F.W. Taylor, he has developed one of the concept in the industrial engineering. Then that Gilbert is there, he has also developed one of the concept in the industrial engineering there. So this particular F.W. Taylor, he has focused on the time study. Also, he has focused on the method study. Method study means it is correlated with the eliminate the unnecessary operations. Just now I have told, eliminate the unnecessary operations. As we know that if the raw material is converted into the final finished products, while that conversion, there are so many operations which are performed on that particular component. Okay, but while performing the number of operations, there are so many unnecessary operations which are happened, and due to that unnecessary operations, it affects on the overall time required to the production. If there are so many unnecessary operations are there, then automatically whatever the standard time is required to convert that particular raw material into the finished good, it is also goes on increasing. So in minimum time or in minimum number of operation, how that particular raw material is converted into the finished goods, that we are going to study, or that concept is developed by this particular first scientist, which is called as a F.W. Taylor. And then second scientist is there, that is Gilbert. So he has also developed one of the concept which is called as a motion study. Motion study means, for example, the component is moving from one working station to the another working station, then it is moving from second to third, then third to fourth, fourth to fifth, like that it is moving from it is moving from one station to the another station while performing the operations. At that time, whatever the movement is taking place to that particular product, that movement will be tracked, or related concept will be developed by this particular Gilbert. Also, what is the movement is taking place by the worker. For example, some of the machines are there in which that 2-3 machines are operated by the single worker only. So if he has to operate that 2-3 machines simultaneously, then what will be its movement? Whether he is going to the machine number second, or whether he is moving to the machine number 1, or whether he is moving to the machine number 3. So like that, first of all, we have to focus on the movement of that particular worker. We have to focus on the movement of that particular product, and their related study is carried out by this particular Gilbert. So whatever the techniques developed by this particular F.W. Taylor, and whatever the techniques are developed by the second scientist, that is Gilbert, that we are going to study in this particular chapter number 1. Then objective of the industrial engineering. What is the main use of that particular industrial engineering? Then productivity. So what is the definition of productivity? Simple: output upon input. If we have to achieve the some amount of output, there should be some amount of inputs. Now, in case of a industry, which are the input parameters? There are so many input parameters are there. For example, one is a worker or the labors. This is one of the first important parameter, that is input. Then second one is a material. So whatever the raw material is there, it is also one of the input parameters. Then third one is a machineries. Whatever the equipments or the machineries are there, it is also plays very important role as a internal parameters. Then capital investment. So the capital investment is also one of the plays important role as a input parameter. If I am applying such types of all the input parameters in the industry, then and then only there will be the output. And in minimum resources and in minimum input parameters, if I will achieve the maximum output, then I can say that I have achieved the maximum productivity. If the output is very less and we are applying so many input parameters, then the productivity will not be achievable. Therefore, which type of input parameters we are providing, based on that your output is depends and the productivity is depends. Just now I have told, if we are not providing the skilled operators while working in the industries, at that time automatically it will be affects on the output. If the output is goes on decreases, automatically the productivity is also goes on decreases. So related definition of the productivity also we are going to discuss. Then factors affects on the productivity. There are basically two factors. One is a internal factors and another is a external factors. So internal factors, it is correlated with the industries, maybe some capital invest, how much amount of materials are required, then how much skilled operators are required, how much labors are required, then how much capital investment is required, which types of the equipments are required, which types of machineries are required. That will be considered in case of a internal factor which are affects on the productivity. But some of the external factors are there. For example, natural resources. If I have to obtain some of the raw materials, at that time I have to use some of the natural resources are there. Then some government policies are there. Then whatever the locations are there, some locations are present nearby the city, some locations are present nearby the some villages are there. At that time it is not possible to implement your industry directly near to that particular city or near to that particular villages, because it will be affects on their life. So the external factors are related to the natural resources available. Then some external factors are related to the government rules, government norms are there. Then another your plant location, facility location, which type of transportation should be available. Like that, whatever the factors, internal and external factors are affecting on the productivity, that we are going to discuss in the chapter number 1. And in order to improve that particular productivity, which are the techniques used, that also we are going to discuss. For example, if the productivity is less in case of an industry or any industry, in order to improve that particular productivity from bottom level to the high level, which type of techniques we have to use, that technique also we are going to discuss in this particular chapter number 1, that is factors affecting the productivity and way to improve the productivity. That is standard techniques we are going to discuss. Then work study. The work study means it is called the work study means it is correlated with the two concepts. One is the method study and the time study. Both the concepts are implemented in the one only, that is method study and the time study. Method study means to eliminate the unnecessary operations and to obtain the standard procedure. So if we are having one operating procedure, at that time in that particular operating procedure, whatever the unnecessary operations are there, that unnecessary operations we have to remove and we have to set one standard procedure. So this particular part, that is reducing the unnecessary operation, it will be studied in this particular work study as a concept of method study, and the time study is correlated with the reducing the ineffective time. For example, the so many operations we are performing, in that while performing the so many operations, each and every operation it is having some standard time. Okay, while performing the operation, whatever the ineffective time is there, that ineffective time or unnecessary time we have to reduce or we have to eliminate from that particular manufacturing process, and finally we have to calculate the standard time required to the each and operation and the standard time required to perform each and every operation and the standard time required for the standard process. In one process, so many operations are there. In one process, so many operations are there. So in time study, we have to calculate the standard time of each operation, and at the end we have to calculate the standard time for that particular new process. So related to that, that is method study and time study concept we are going to study in this particular work study. Okay, so this is about the chapter number 1. Then in that some definitions are there, the standard procedures are there, then objectives are there. All these points we are going to study in the chapter number 1. Then method study, just now we have discussed. What is the use of method study? Simple definition, method study means to eliminate unnecessary operations and obtain the standard procedure. Some of the manufacturing processes are there which are standard, which are already developed. For example, one manufacturing process I have developed in the industries, and that manufacturing taking the time of 5 hours to convert the raw material into the finished goods. Okay, so in that particular manufacture process, whatever I have developed, I have calculated the standard time 5 hours. But in that, some unnecessary operations are also there, which are not required. So if I will remove that particular unnecessary operations from that particular process, whatever the 5 hour time is required, that 5 hour time it will get decreases. Maybe it will take the 4 hours or 4.30. 4.5 hours. So like that, whatever the unnecessary operations are present in any process, that unnecessary operations we can eliminate by using this particular method study concept. And by eliminating that unnecessary operations, I can select the best method. So this particular method study concept can be applicable for the new technique as well as it is applicable for the existing technique also. For example, if I am manufacturing the new product, so for the manufacturing of the new product, I have to decide the new procedure. So I have to set the new sequence of the number of operations. So for the development of new technique also, this particular method study concept is applicable, as well as whatever the existing techniques are available, whatever the existing technique or whatever the existing manufacturing process is available, and in that existing manufacturing process, if I have to do some modifications, that modification can be carried out under this particular method study concept. Just now I have given the example. If existing manufacturing process is taking the 5 hours to convert the raw material into the finished goods, but if I will apply the concept of method study to that particular existing technique, and from that particular techniques, from that particular manufacturing process, if I will eliminate the unnecessary operations, due to that my 5 hours time is reduced up to the 4 hours. So whatever the 1 hour reduction is taking place, that will be taking place by applying the concept of method study. So how this particular technique is applicable or how it is implemented in the industries, that step also we are going to discuss in this particular chapter number 2. That is basic definition is also we are going to discuss, objective, its scope and their basic procedure. So near about 7 to 8 steps are there which we have to study in this particular method study. That is, if I have to develop the new technique, what are my steps, and if I have to modify the existing technique which is already available, what are my steps, what are my steps, that steps we are going to discuss in this particular method study concept. Then symbol and recording facts. Symbol and recording facts means, as we know that there are so many operations we are performing on the component. For example, we are performing some manufacturing operations, maybe drilling, milling, facing, like that operations we are performing. Then component is moving from one station to another station. Then at the end, the component is moving from workstation to the storage device. Sometimes in between, if your tool will get break, at that time your production line it will get stopped. That means there is a delay in the operation. Means whatever the operations we are performing, that operation can be represented by this symbol. That operation can be presented by the separate symbol. If I have to indicate the drilling operation, then one symbol is there to show that particular drilling operation. If I have to perform milling operation, boring operation, fishing operation, turning operation, whatever operations we are performing by any type of machine, that operation can be represented by one symbol. Then after that, if there is a delay due to the tool breakage or the coolant of the machine is over, oil of the machine is over, so due to that particular delay, your production line it will get stopped. If I have to show that particular delay, then there is a separate symbol to show that particular delay operation. Then again, storage. If your product is finished, then we have to move that particular product from that particular workstation to the storage device. At that time, that storage device can be represented by the separate symbol. Also, sometimes on one product simultaneously number of operations are performed. At the same time, drilling is performed, milling is performed. At that time, if multiple operations I have to represent, at that time again there is a separate symbol. So like that, basic symbols we are going to study in this particular method study. Why these particular symbols are required? Because if I have to develop a new manufacturing process for the new product, at that time this particular symbols, it plays very important role. Through the theoretical manner, it is not possible to explain the process. For example, initially I have to perform drilling, then facing, then boring, then there is a delay is there. So the theoretical writing, it is not possible in the industries. Whatever the symbols are there, through that particular symbols, I have to manufacture, I have to develop the new technique, and that new technique I have to represent in front of management. So whatever the engineers are there, for example, industrial engineer is there, he is developing that particular new technique, and after that he has to represent that particular new technique in front of higher authority and the management. And once the management will be approved by this particular new technique, after that, that industrial engineer has to represent the same technique to the workers or to the laborers, those who are working on that particular new techniques. If I will directly implement, the worker has not known about this particular new techniques, automatically there will be chances of the damage of any type of component. So I have to represent that particular technique for the higher authority as a management, then to the laborers and the workers, and it will be represented in the symbolic manner. So if I will represent that particular techniques or new manufacturing process in the symbolic manner, so that worker also can easily understood, means after this operation is there, after this one is there, after this one is there. So like that sequence we are going to set by using this particular symbols. Then important thing is that charts, we are going to discuss the different types of charts. For example, operation process chart, the name itself suggests simple. Operation process chart means this chart indicates the sequence of operation which is performing on the component. Just now I have told, initially raw material is coming, finishing operation, drilling operation, boring operation, milling operation, and then final product. If if I have to set the sequence of operation, so that operations can be represented, or its sequence can be represented by this particular operation process chart. Then flow process chart. Flow means it represents the direction of the product from one workstation to the another workstation, from second workstation to the third workstation. Like that, we have to follow the path of that particular component. So that path or that flow, it can be represented by this particular flow process chart. Then multiple activity chart. Multiple activity means simultaneously number of operations are performed on that particular component. For example, if you take the example of CNC and VMC machine, in case of a CNC and VMC, the multiple operations are performed simultaneously. So if I have to represent that particular multiple operations, at that time I can use this particular multiple operation chart. Then two-handed process chart. Two-handed means while performing the operations, I have to use my right hand as well as left hand also. So some components are there, some assemblies are there. In order to perform that particular assemblies, I have to use the right hand as well as left hand also. And that movement of the right hand and the movement of the left hand, it is also represented by the sum of the charts. That chart is called as a two-handed process chart. For example, simple example, if I have to change the refill of my pen, refill is already over, and if I have to change, so what I will do, I will hold the pen in the left hand, and whatever its cap is there, that cap I will remove by using the right hand. I will remove that particular old refill from that particular pen or that particular barrel. I will insert the new refill, and again I will apply that particular cap. That means here the movement of the left hand is also taking place, as well as the movement of that particular right hand is also taking place. So such types of the movements or their operation is also recorded in case of a industrial engineering concept, or in this particular chapter number 2. So like that, so many charts are there that we are going to study in this particular method study. Then chapter number 3, very important. ergonomics and industrial safety. Ergonomics means ergonomics is the concept which is related to the man machine system or man material handling. Man material handling. For example, ergonomics, if that ergonomic concepts I will consider in the industry, then due to that particular system, there should not be any fatigue to the operators or to the workers. So related to that ergonomic concept means, for example, which type of display should be provided to the workers, which types of the control units it should be provided, which type of material handling devices should be provided in the industry, that all the concepts which are correlated with the ergonomic concept. For example, the button should be provided, it should be provided near to the worker only, so he can operate that particular buttons very easily. If I have to use some of the displays, which type of display should be provided, whether digital displays there or some another variety types of displays are there. So due to that particular displays, that labors he can easily understood. For example, if we take the example of central PA system which is implemented in our college, so through that particular central PA system, whatever the announcements are there, we can easily get that particular announcement from the central system. So that part is also comes, or it also come considered in case of a industry. If I have to give the any announcement in the industry, at that time I can use this particular central PA system. For example, different types of the control units are there, some gear operations are there, some knobs are there. So all such types of the levers, control units, it should be easily operatable to that particular workers, means we are considering all the ergonomic concept. If the workers is facing some problems while operating the machines, while operating the knobs, he is unable to see the display, he is unable to see the machines, means we can say that there is no any ergonomic concept implemented in that particular industry. And the second part is related to the industrial safety. Industrial safety, it is very important to the workers. So while performing the operations, number of operations, there may be possibility of accidents. So in order to avoid the such types of the accidents, which type of the care should be taken, which types of the devices we have to use, what is the basic definition of accident, what are the basic causes due to which the accidents are happening, if the accidents are happening, which types of the preventions we have to take, if the accidents is happening at that time, which types of schemes we have to give to the that particular workers. Maybe some insurance are there, employer insurances are there. If any worker is doing the additional jobs, then we have to provide some types of the incentives, additional wages we have to provide. So like that concept we are going to study in this particular chapter number 3 in case of a ergonomics and the industrial safety. So ergonomics means simply we have to think about the man machine relationship. Whatever the devices, whatever the control units are provided, it should be easily accessible to the workers with less fatigue. And industrial safety means what is the definition of accident, what are its causes, how that accidents will be removed, which types of the insurance should be provided. So like that concept we are going to study in the chapter number 3. Then chapter number 4, work measurement. Work measurement means simple definition. Work measurement, this concept is related to the measurement of standard time for the standard operating process. In method study, we have eliminated the unnecessary operations, and from that we have developed, or from that we have selected one best technique. In case of a method study, I have eliminated only operations and I have selected the best technique. But whatever the best techniques I have selected, I have to go the measurement of that particular best technique also. Whatever the changes I have done in the existing process, or if I have developed a new technique, so how much amount of time is required to perform the operation by using that particular new technique, that we are going to study in case of a chapter number 4, that is work measurement. If new technique is manufactured, it is necessary to measure the standard time required to perform the operation by using the new techniques. If I have to calculate the standard time of each and every operation, so I can calculate by using this particular chapter number 4. In that particular work measurement, there are standard techniques which are used to measure the work. For example, stopwatch. It is a measuring device. If I am performing any operation and if I will start the stopwatch and at the end, if the operation is finished, I will stop the stopwatch. Means I will get that particular amount of time is required to perform that particular operation. Like that techniques we are going to study in this particular work measurement. So this particular work measurement technique we are applying for the new techniques as well as for the existing techniques which we are going to modify. Whatever the new techniques I am developing to measure its standard time, this chapter is important, as well as whatever the previous techniques which is already in the exist, and if I have to do some modifications or if I have done some of the modifications, then there also I have to go for the measurement of that particular techniques. And in addition to that, while measuring the standard time, I have to focus on the allowance. This allowance should be provided to the worker. For example, in between, if that worker has to go to drink the water at that time, such types of the allowance should be provided. By mistakenly, if your coolant is finished, your oil is finished, your tool is breakage at that time, such types of the allowances also we have to consider while calculating the standard time. It is not possible to work continuously throughout the hours. So in between some of the operations, we have to provide some allowances to the worker. For example, if any worker, if he has to go for the drinking the water at that time, this much amount, how much amount of time is required to drink the water, this much amount of time is also considered in the standard time. If any worker, if he has to change the tool, if he has to change the tool from one tool to the another tool at that time, how much amount of time is required to change the tool, that amount of time is also considered in case of a standard time. If the worker has to change the coolant, if he has to change the oil at that time, whatever these particular allowances are there, that all the types of allowances we are going to study in this particular work measurement concept. So there are basically 3 types of allowances are there. That 3 types of allowances we are going to study. For example, relaxation allowance is there, contingency allowances is there, policy allowance is there. So like that, 3 types of allowances we are going to study in the chapter number 4. Then chapter number 5, facility location and the plant layout. Facility location means if I have to implement or if I have to start any type of new industry at that time, this facility location or the location, it plays very, very important role. So while selecting the locations, there is a standard procedure and there is some standard factor, that is tangible factor and intangible factor. For example, some internal factors are there as well as some external factors are there. Where should be your location? Whether your location should be near to the village or whether your location should be near to the city. So like that, some standard factors are there, maybe some tangible factors, some intangible factors are there. That tangible and intangible factors we are going to consider while selecting the facility location and plant layout. If location is finalized, then how should be your plant layout? So there are different types of layouts are there. That types of layout also we are going to study. For example, process layout is there, fixed position layouts are there. Process layout means performing first operation, then component is moving to the second operation, then it is moving to the third operation. So such types of the layouts is called as a process layout. Then fixed position layout means your product is fixed and whatever the operations are there, that operations we have to perform by their simultaneously. For example, if I have to build the ship, so the ship is very big in construction, so it is not possible to move that particular ship from one location to the another location, from second location to the third location. It is not possible. So what I have to do, I have to build that particular ship at one location only, and whatever the facilities are required, that facilities I have to bring toward that particular ship. For example, drilling machines are required, so I can take that particular drilling machine near to that particular ship only. So such types of the layout, or which type of layout should be preferable in the industry, that types of layouts, their factors also we are going to study in this particular chapter number 5. So in the chapter number 5 is divided into the two parts, that is factors affecting on the site selection. Just now I have explained some tangible and intangible factors are there, and the plant layout. So what is the use of the plant layout, different types of the plant layouts, that we are going to study in the chapter number 5. And last chapter is related to the job evaluation and the merit rating. Job evaluation means whatever the job we have manufactured, or whatever we have converted that particular raw material into the finished goods, their evaluation also we have to carry out. So whatever the raw material is converted into the finished goods, so in case of a job evaluation, there is some procedure is there, how to go for the job analysis, what is mean by the job description, what is mean by the job specification. So there are standard techniques are there are standard procedure are there. That procedure we are going to discuss under the job evaluation. For example, if I have to go for the evaluation of job, how the evaluation should be taking place, so that procedure we are going to discuss in the chapter number 6 under the job evaluation and the merit rating. After the analysis, once the evaluation of job is over, then how to go for the merit rating. That merit or that rating should be given to that particular final product, as well as that rating should be given to that particular workers also. Because without any resource, for example, without any laborers, without any workers, it is not possible to convert the raw material into the finished goods. Therefore, while performing this particular next step, that is merit rating, at that time we have to give the rating to that particular finished product also, as well as we have to give the rating to that particular laborers or that skilled operators also. So like that, related techniques, how to go for the job evaluation, which are the techniques, which are the procedures, that we are going to discuss. And the merit rating, if I have to give the rating to the worker, which types of the ratings are available. If I have to give the rating to the finished goods, which type of the ratings, and how the rating should be given to that particular products as well as workers, that we are going to discuss in the chapter number 6. So like that, we are having the total 6 chapters. Section number 1, 3 chapters. Section number 2, 3 chapters. So like that, we have to study the 6 chapters in this particular industrial engineering. And if you will go through this particular overview of this particular syllabus, from this we can easily understood that only 2 things, that is in industry, whatever the operating procedures are there, whatever the operations are there, so we have to focus on each and every operations, so we can reduce or we can eliminate the unnecessary operations, and we can develop the new or the standard techniques. And whatever the new techniques we are developing, whatever the existing techniques we are modifying, so the time required to the each and every technique, time required for the existing technique, that also we are going to calculate in the industrial engineering. That is main concept of method study and the work measurement. Then we are also discussing some of the ergonomic concept. So due to that ergonomic concept, that workers or the laborers, he or she, he can easily handle that particular workstation. So for that purpose, we have to provide the different types of displays, different types of the controls, some material handling devices are there. That means we are considering the ergonomic concept. Industrial safety means, as we know that industrial safety, it is very important because accidents are happening due to some faulty manufacturing processes or faulty operations, and sometimes there may be possibility death of that particular workers also. So if such types of the situations are happening, then what are the causes of accident, their preventions, then as per the industrial labor organization, which type of facility should be provided, which types of the chart should be displayed in the industries due to which the accident should not be happened. If any accident is happen, then which types of the insurance facility should be provided. That part is also implemented in this particular industrial engineering. Then facility and plant location. Which type of location should be preferable for the new industry? And if the location is finalized, which type of layout we have to consider? That also we are going to discuss in the chapter number 5. And at the end, job evaluation and the merit rating. So we have to follow the procedure of job evaluation, and after the evaluation is over, then we have to focus on their merit rating, that is rating to the workers as well as rating to the finished product. Means through this particular all the 6 chapters, we can say that here we are developing, or there is a overall development of the industry, due to which there is a increase in productivity, there is a increase in profit in less resources and in less production cost. If all these particular 6 chapters, if it is or their concept, if I will implement in the industry, then and then only it is possible to achieve the maximum productivity in less input resources. If this particular 6 chapters, if we are not considering in industry or while performing the operations, automatically your output is goes on decreasing, and automatically your productivity is goes on decreasing, and automatically it will be affects on their profit. Therefore this all the 6 chapters are very important. Their concepts are very important, which we have to implement in the industry. So like that, this is the basic ideas of the each and every chapter. Once we will start the chapter number 1, then once again we will discuss about the introduction of the industrial engineering, their objectives, their important definitions, while starting with the chapter number 1. Okay, so today we will stop here. In the next lecture we will start with the chapter number 1, that is introduction to the industrial engineering. Okay, I hope you have, all of you have understood why this particular chapter we are going to study in this particular, why we have to study this particular chapter, and how it plays very important role in the industries. Okay, so with this, today we will stop here. So I request all the students, please type your roll number in the chat box for the attendance. I request all the students, please type your roll number in the chat box for the attendance. If it is over, then you can leave the meeting. So thank you very much for attending the lectures. Type your roll number in the chat box.